Greetings, fellow coin people. Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. We have the kickoff of the week, Monday market report for the week ending September 28, 2025. This is the video where we take a look at some of the most relevant modern graded coins that have sold here in the last 7 days, all courtesy of GreatCollections.com, one of the biggest, brightest, and fastest growing auction platforms today. Get your consignments in for the fall season. It's going to be really busy. If you got some of those higher profile coins that you need to move, now might be the time. 2026 is just around the corner, and I suspect that the market and the overall sentiment of the hobby is going to be explosive coming up here in the next few months. So something to definitely keep an eye out for. It's going to have a domino effect all across the industry, and it's something that I would say is just knocking on the door. It's going to be a matter of when, not so much if, because it's bound to happen. You might as well take a ride of your life. So we're going to take a look again, anything post 1900 by year all the way up to the current date. And boy, we've been touching very close to 2025 on some select coins here recently. We have another one here today. In addition to a new world record that we're going to put this new coin sale in the top 5 of Lincoln Memorial Ascent, all-time greatest, all-time most valuable. It's pretty insane, and it's not a date that you would possibly consider or even think or imagine that would end up in a top 5 list. So, without further ado, we're going to be getting started here momentarily, but before we do, quick little shout out to channel sponsor Whatnot. Come on, guys. A lot of you subscribers, a lot of my viewers, you guys are not joined up to the fastest growing live social media auction platform today. I'm a part of it in a huge way. The biggest reason why is that I want to connect with the community. Whatnot has been that catalyst to make things happen. Not only do we have banging sales each and every single week, but I get to talk about the hobby with you guys. I mean, it's awesome. The community is large. It's getting bigger. And I hope you guys take that ride with me. So the cool part is you could join today. If you sign up under me, you get $15 off your very first item that you do purchase, whether that's with me or any one of the sellers on the platform. It's guaranteed savings, money off, right off the bat. I mean, it's free money. Why would you not take it? But anyways, there's the QR code right on screen. We're going to be going live Wednesday and Friday of this week. Another great show week. We're going to be even more busier as we head into the holidays, and it's going to be banging. All right. If you don't like using the QR code, don't fret. I also have the links down below in the description box and also pinned in this video in the comments section. It's everywhere, baby. Come join today. $15 off, courtesy of your boy Blue. Let's do this. All right. We're just going to go ahead and jump right in. The list is incredible. 2010D Lincoln Shield Set. I told you we got some moderns in here, like super ultra atomic moderns. This one right here is on the list because it's such a good coin for a registry set. The grade hits the mark here. Mid-state 67 plus red. You know, earlier on with the shield set design, not a lot of people liked it. Okay, another thing that plagued this particular design and coin has been the quality. You know, the quality wasn't exactly gangbusters. I mean, this thing released right during the recession where there was less people working at the mint. So quality control was few and far between. It wasn't at its height as it is today. And this one right here getting extra consideration because of its grade. And there's not a whole lot of them graded at the top end like this one here. So you would be more than surprised that this one ended up selling for $2,930.62. That's the kind of money that you would pay for gold, for crying out loud. That's a lot of money. But there is a few registry set participants of Lincoln Sets and the series. They're going to need this coin. And generally, these folks have very deep pockets. They will pay whatever it takes to make sure that they have the only one of a certain coin, because it's a points graded scale kind of system. The registry is. So the more points that's tacked into their registry, it's all bragging rights, baby. Call it like it is. There's a lot of money in bragging rights, and this one here is the top of the list. 1990 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is the proof version, and this is a coin that we should all be familiarized by now. This is the missing mint mark, no S, proof Lincoln. They call it actually the FS 101, which is a designator that normally would be best suited for double to die obverses. So they assigned the FS 101 attribution to the no S Lincoln. And there are a few dates of proof coins where you're going to try and find some of these missing mint mark coins. The 1975 Roosevelt dime is among the biggest ones out there, which I believe there's only 2 known examples. So if you're able to find any of these, they are quite valuable. They're very expensive. In a way, they're kind of like little trophies. This particular one, by the way, graded a 68 red with deep cameo. It's a great, awesome grade on this one. This one ended up hammering over the weekend for $5,250.38. Bet you didn't know that this thing can get up to be that expensive. I've actually seen them higher, at a Proof 69 red decam, that just might as well 2x the sold price of what this one did here over the weekend. All right, well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This effectively is a new world record holder for most valuable Lincoln Memorial. Okay, now it's not the top most valuable, but we could slot this one into the top 5. I believe it's either going to be coin number 2 or 3 as being the most valuable non-variety, non-error Lincoln Memorial cent. Now, just to let you guys know, Lincoln Memorial Series started in 1959 when they did the transition into that new design. And it goes all the way up to 2008. So it's a pretty big, very, very deep kind of range of dates there. So there's a lot here to love. Okay, 1979 Philly. Who would thought that this one would even sniff the list of a top 5 most valuable? But it's hard to argue with a Mid-State 68 plus red. It's the only one known of this particular coin in this grade. And because of that, registry set owners are going to be climbing and dogpiling all over this coin in the hopes of making it happen, to add it to their registry, to their collection, because it's such a huge piece. This one, by the way, ended up selling for a staggering sum of $21,375.90. Again, it's a top 5 most valuable non-variety, non-error Lincoln Memorial cent. Just based off of grade alone is why it's on this list. 1978 D. Okay, we just have to go a year earlier for the next coin on the list. This one coming in as a Mid-State 67 plus red. Okay, it's a full grade point lower than the 1979 P we just looked at, and it's just a year older. It's crazy. This one, another big high-profile sale this week. Obviously, a registry set piece all the way. $7,667.61 was the sale on this. Kind of crazy, I mean, these people were hunting through, I could imagine, dozens upon dozens of brilliant uncirculated rolls of these dates just to find these coins that, PCGS has put high up on a pedestal. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy, and it's something that people are doing, collectors that really know their stuff, they're engaging in this activity. 1972 Lincoln Memorial cent. The first time really in a long time that we've covered this particular date on the list, not by one of the many cool double-to-die obverses that you could find. This is just a standard non-variety 1972p Lincoln Memorial. This one graded as a Mid-State 67 plus red. So that's a pretty nice lofty grade. Obviously made for and intended for a registry set out there. This one selling for $2,930.62. That's about as much as a Mid-State 67 FS 101 double-to-die obverse of the same date. that's kind of crazy. If you had to pick one or the other, I'd probably pick the double to die, just because it's a variety, and it doesn't matter how many of them you grade, it's still going to keep the value. Whereas these top flight, top pop registry coins, the moment that another one hits that top of the census, that's going to drag down the values of all the other coins that are currently at the top. So it's a feast or famine world with registry sets. Just be careful if you're going to engage in trying to grade some of these. Your grading skills have to be top notch. 1967 Lincoln Memorial set, another one on the list. This was actually one that I had talked about probably about a month or two ago, right? Because there were a certain number of dates where mint sets never existed. 1965, 66, and 67. The mint instead made a hybrid special mint set. It had the strike qualities of a proof coin, but had the surfaces of like a business strike. All right, kind of that satiny, type of finish to it, where it's non-reflective, things like that. So the coins, you'd have to go back and find BU rolls of these three particular dates in order to find some pretty nice gradable candidates. This one right here is one of them. Again, we don't see the tri-year, what I call SMS holdovers that often, only because it's these are coins that never existed in mint sets. Generally you'd have to go into a mint set to find some of the highest quality curated pieces to grade. That just simply wasn't the case. Another date is 1983, by the way. So 1983, dimes and quarters and half dollars, they weren't available in mint sets because they just didn't make them. So there are a few exceptions here in the more modern history of coinage that presents quite a crazy treasure hunt for sure. Like this one right here is a 67 plus red, which is a huge grade. That's a bomb on this one. And because of that, this one ended up selling for $18,000. Pretty big difference maker there, because it's a non-mid set year. It's just going to make these things incredibly insane on the secondary market, if and only if you're able to keep that top grade alive in your submission. If you earned it, you earned it. There's just no combating that. It's a grade that will guarantee you some riches in the short term. So, yeah, kind of crazy. 1963D. This has been a coin that has been the subject of many, many talks on some of my videos, because for the longest time, it was the only sole Lincoln Memorial set where a mid-state 67 just never existed. And it wasn't until about, I'd say like 7 or 8 years ago, when the first mid-state 67 1963D did surface. And as of now, there are a few in 67 at the very top. But let's not forget the top grade prior to like 2014 or somewhere around there was a mid-state 66 plus red. Now, the coins back then, were valued around $2,000 to $2,250. And now that there's mid-state 67s, surely these things have dropped through the floor. Maybe not too badly, because this one right here ended up selling for $1,350. That's a hell of a safety net for a coin of this caliber. If you didn't get the top line 67 red, and you instead got a 66 plus red, it's not the end of the world. You still have a coin that's worth well over $1,000 at the end of the day. But 1963D is notorious for some of the just crappiest strikes and the worst plancha quality, and that's why this one singular date and mint mark has been a huge challenge for many, many decades. And I wanted to highlight this coin because this is one from our good old friend Adam Chambers. You guys know him as Coins and Ghouls. And he cherry-picked this ungodly 1956 proof Lincoln wheat set with the aforementioned doubled die obverse FS101. This is a scarce variety, guys. I'm telling you, a fraction of a percent of the entire run of 1956 proof cents actually have the double die offers, and that's why they're so valuable. And this one is probably this is one of the like the highest known grades of this one. So kudos to Adam for this great cherry pick. He's been on a friggin' roll here lately. If you guys are looking for a model of how to cherry pick and the art of the cherry pick, he's the man right there. So this one right here, I'm happy to announce that this one ended up selling for $4,500. And I can imagine he probably cherry picked this thing. If he bought a full set, he probably paid, what, $45 for the set? Or if he cherry picked the coin just by itself, like in dealer stock or something at a show, he probably paid like $10-15 for it. So that was a hell of an investment, a hell of a cherry pick with that double to die on there. Congratulations, Adam. I'm so proud of you. Man, I'm about ready to shed a tear because that is how you do this and do it as well as you can. He is a student of the game, and every day he's learning, but he's doing it right. Now we're on to nickels. The nickels were actually quite impressive. We had talked about that 1967 Lincoln cent. We have the 1965 Jefferson nickel on the list for the same exact reason. Because again, these are SMS years. They didn't make mid sets. You had to go into old BU roll stock to find something that's worth grading. So this one right here, NGC, assigned a grade of mid-state 66 with 5 full steps. Yeah, same versus the first. Quality wasn't that great on these tri-year coins. And if you do find one with full steps, that is a scarcity, and this one ended up working out just well. This one right here sold for $3,151.14. Again, very impressive outcome on this nickel here. 1960 Philly Jefferson nickels. We got some good dates here, guys, and I'm kind of excited. This one right here, thankfully, earned full steps, even though looking at the picture, I'm not completely 100% sold on the full steps. Maybe in hand, under magnification with different lighting, it might tell a different kind of story here. But this one earned a 65 full steps by PCGS. Okay, and because of that, it sold for $1,181.25. Not the highest grade, not the lowest grade. It's like kind of right in the middle, and it ended up working out because this was a pretty decent sale. 57D, okay, it's not bad. 50s coins can be quite challenging to find full steps. Here's one that ended up popping at 67 FS. And 57D generally has above average luster, compared to some of the other dates. If you went to, say, 1955, luster was terrible. 57D in comparison looks more like what a coin should look like today, in 2025 compared to what it was, back then. So this one right here, another impressive sale, $2,306.25. Good one there. Here's a variety that I've always wanted to look for, and one day I will. Okay, I've cherry-picked a lot of the other Jefferson nickel, overmint marks and RPMs and things like that. Even got lucky finding a 42D over horizontal D. That's the Type 1 version, which is not silver. This one right here is high atop my list. 55 D over S. It's another great overmint mark. And this just goes to show you don't need full steps on a variety for it to really, really make an impact in the market. This one graded at 66 plus by PCGS. And how about this sale of $3,236.62? The variety is what really makes it happen, and it's quite scarce. This one right here just doesn't pop up casually. You'd have to look through a lot of nickels to find this one specific variety. We also have a 47S. We'll say there was also a really nice 47 Denver that sold, but I didn't put it on the list because, there's not enough room. We talk about so many coins because I didn't want this thing to drag on for an hour. I'd probably lose my voice by then. But this one right here, very well struck. Super example, mid-state 67 full steps. Usually the later 40s coins are very well struck. Now comes the task of finding one with not as many contact marks on there. This one, really hits it home pretty well. $2,193.75 for the sale on this one. If you like toning and you like silver, then you come to the right place, because we have this beautiful, well-struck 1944 Philly Wartime silver Jefferson nickel. Okay, during this time, from 42 to 45, they had switched out some of that nickel for silver and manganese, for the war efforts. So it's become kind of like a popular era to collect into, whether it's raw silver nickels or graded ones like this one, which, by the way, you can't argue with a 67 plus full stepper. This thing is amazing. I actually am a fan of the toning, the kind of like that crescent of orange and brown and gold. I mean, it's a really nice earthy look to it. This one, by the way, is selling for $4,050. All right, so a lot to love here. The eye appeal alone is marvelous, and I can see why collectors were gravitating toward this and bidding it up to where it was suitable for what it is. We also have some dimes. Okay, a few dimes on the list. Okay, and it's been a while since we covered a non-variety 1982p Roosevelt dime. Now, when I mean non-variety, we normally talk about the missing mint mark 1982 business strikes, which is a thing. There are some coins out there that don't have a Philadelphia mint mark on them. Okay, and that is not by design. That was a monumental mint mistake. They just forgot to put the mint mark on the working dies at the time. So there were a few that did escape. There was actually one that did sell on Great Collections, for about $1,700. And then we have this one here in a Mid-State 67 plus full bands. And again, with the tired 1980s coinage, it's just really showing through here lately. We've seen Jefferson nickels that have popped off, like registry set type pieces that sold for quite a bit of money. We also had some Lincoln cents, some Washington quarters coming in here lately. So this one right here, $1,743.75. Also a coin that matched the missing mint mark version that did sell on Great Collections. I believe that one was, I think, a Mid-State 67, not a plus though. This Mercury dime, crusty, not particularly a fan. This looks like more like black mold toning to me. I guess that's a good moniker to give something like this. It's very terminal in my estimation, but that kind of toning is equals money. It really does, because it's the equalizer to originality. People love originality. They don't want something that's been over-dipped or polished clean. So this 1945, the only thing missing on it is full bands. But good luck with that. That is a vastly unique coin to look for. There's only like a small handful of them, a couple of them that exist with that full strike to show full split bands. This one obviously doesn't have it, but it is a 68. It's such a high grade, like Mount Everest high on something like this. CAC certified as well, so they agreed, with the numerical grade that's been given, $1,518.75. So even a non-full bands coin selling very well. And the toning, you either have to love it or, not. The last dime, by far one of my favorite coins of the list today, 1909 D Barber dime. My gosh, this thing is gorgeous, and I would suspect it probably spent a good fair amount of its life in an album somewhere. All right, that's how you're going to get kind of like that ringy looking toning on the obverse there, which is just drop dead gorgeous. I love kind of like muted toning on something like this, more so than the fully encapsulated toning that you find on like Morgan dollars and things like that. I love the subtleness of this one. So PCGS assigned to Mid-State 65 plus, and it's CAC certified as well. I'm not disagreeing with any of this. The sale ended up being $3,724.88. A great investment / type coin for any collector. We got a few quarters, 1967. Again, this is a non-SMS business strike quarter. Kind of tough to find these days if you're out hunting around for just a BU example. This one graded really high as a mid-state 68, and it looks like it spent some time in a folder or album as well, based off of the light kind of skin of toning on there. $2,937.38 was the final on that one there. 1941, this is a very nice variety, a doubled die obverse FS102, and it grades out high in a 67. I believe it is a top hop for the variety and the date, and this one sold for $3,490.88, and a very impressive one here. Equally tough to a few of the other dates. It's no 1921 or a 23S, that's for sure, but let's give kudos to the 1919 Philly Standing Liberty quarter you see here. They ended up with a kind of like once-in-a-lifetime grade, a 67 plus full head, CAC certified. I mean, the sun, stars, and moons were in perfect alignment when this thing was graded and then sent off to CAC. I mean, it got everything that it needed. And the outcome of the sale certainly warranted all of that great luck. $30,332.25. That's an automobile and then some, A couple more coins. We got a couple half dollars. All right, not exactly what you think. How about a 1978 Kennedy, which probably been in an album as well. It just has the album toning look to it. But you just don't see them this clean. NGC assigned a grade of mid-state 68, and that's really tough. These things are usually all nicked up, being in bags and all that stuff, for the longest time. It's really hard to keep a coin this straight on here. But the sale of $2,925 is just wild, for what this is. At the end of the day, nobody really cares about 1978 Kennedy half dollars unless it grades out in the 68, right? Now, I can only imagine a PCGS example of the same numerical grade would just be bonkers. And the final coin, you gotta believe that bicentennial coins, man, are gonna gain so much more press here between now and the end of the year and it going into 2026 with the 250th anniversary. The renewed interest is very strong. Now we have a clad one here that popped off at the highest grade in a mid-state 67 plus clad version. This is a copper nickel clad, not a silver, not anything else other than a clad, but a really high grade one at that. We've seen a few other 67 pluses sell in the past, but this one commanding a little bit more money because of the upcoming 250th anniversary, and that number is $6,568.74. I mean, who would have thought that was coming? I think the last one sold for right around $5,000, so yeah, definitely an uptick. The 250th anniversary definitely weighing on folks' minds as they get ready. It's going to be just a whopper of a year that, might even bring in more collectors. We'll see. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Just to kind of recap, info in this video is for educational use only, not financial advice. And I am your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We had a great month of September. October is going to be rocking. Can't wait to get started and talking about more great things. Stay tuned for more videos. Again, come check us out on Whatnot. It's easy to sign up. You get yourself $15 off. And you get to interact with people like me because I love to talk to folks and talk about what you got going on, talk about what I have going on. It's really awesome. Come join this community. But that's going to go ahead and do it. I will see you guys next time. Have fun in the hobby and keep on collecting, my friends.